Can you escape the illusion? Daniel's journey from idealization to true liberation after narcissistic abuse. The antique clock in Daniel's study chimed midnight, each resonant bong echoing the hollowness that had taken root in his soul. Rain lashed against the window panes, mirroring the tempest raging within him. He knelt beside his worn leather armchair, the familiar scent of old books and beeswax polish doing little to soothe his raw nerves. "Yeah," he whispered, his voice cracking. "I don't understand. I don't understand any of this." His mind reeled back to the beginning, to the intoxicating allure of Isabella. She had been a whirlwind of charisma, a painter with eyes that held galaxies and a laugh that could charm birds from the trees. He, a quiet historian, had been utterly captivated. Isabella had painted him as her muse, a strong, insightful man whose wisdom she desperately needed. He'd basked in the glow of her admiration, offering unwavering support and unwavering belief in her talent. He'd opened his heart, his home, his life to her. The first crack appeared subtly, a suggestion disguised as loving guidance to change his wardrobe. Then, a gentle critique of his friends followed by thinly veiled disdain for his work. Slowly, insidiously, Isabella began to chip away at the very foundation of his being. He, a man who valued truth and meticulous research, found himself twisting facts, making excuses for Isabella's increasingly erratic behavior. He defended her explosive outbursts, her cruel pronouncements, chalking it up to artistic temperament. He was idealizing her, blind to the patterns that were emerging. The idealization phase gave way to devaluation. Her compliments became backhanded, her smiles fleeting. His accomplishments were minimized, his opinions dismissed. She found fault with everything, from the way he loaded the dishwasher to the cadence of his speech. He started walking on eggshells, terrified of triggering her wrath. "I tried so hard to be what she wanted," he groaned, clutching his hands together. "I changed myself, yeah. I abandoned my friends, my passions. I became a shell of myself." The final blow came swiftly, brutally. One morning, Isabella was gone. Just a note on the kitchen counter, scrawled in her flamboyant handwriting, "This just isn't working. You're not the man I thought you were." He felt as though he had been discarded like a broken toy. The pain was unbearable, a suffocating weight on his chest. He replayed every moment, searching for the flaw in himself that had driven her away. Had he not been interesting enough? Had he not been charismatic enough? Had he simply not been enough? Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. Daniel haunted his own home, a ghost in his own life. He lost his appetite, his sleep, his will to work. The world outside his window continued its vibrant dance, oblivious to the silent, internal battle he was waging. He knew intellectually that Isabella's behavior was wrong. His therapist, a kind woman with gentle eyes, had used the term narcissistic personality disorder. She explained the patterns of manipulation, the insatiable need for admiration, the lack of empathy. But understanding it intellectually didn't alleviate the emotional devastation. Why did you let this happen to me?" he pleaded, his voice thick with tears. "Why did you let her tear me apart?" He felt utterly alone, abandoned even by the divine. He had prayed, read scripture, and sought solace in his faith, but the silence was deafening. He felt lost in a labyrinth of confusion and despair, with no way out. Then, one evening, while mindlessly scrolling through online archives for a new research topic to pull him out of the slump, he stumbled upon a recording of a C.S. Lewis sermon titled, "The Narcissist Tried to Destroy You. Here's What You Did Instead." C.S. Lewis Sermons 2025. Intrigued, he clicked play. The sermon, though delivered by a simulated voice based on Lewis writings, resonated with a power that transcended the technological medium. It spoke of narcissistic relationships as a spiritual battle, a deliberate attack on the victim's identity and faith. It acknowledged the confusion, the pain, the sense of isolation. But it also offered a message of hope. The sermon emphasized that Yah was not absent during the suffering. He was present, observing, and preparing a path for rescue. The trials were not random acts of cruelty, but a catalyst for spiritual awakening and transformation. It spoke of the cycle of idealization, devaluation, and discard as a deliberate tactic to break the victim's spirit. Recognizing this pattern, the sermon suggested, was the first step towards breaking free from the narcissist's control. Daniel listened with rapt attention, tears streaming down his face. The words felt like a balm on his wounded soul. He realized that his struggle wasn't simply a personal failure, it was a spiritual battle. Isabella hadn't just broken his heart, she had tried to extinguish the light within him. But Yah, the sermon declared, would not allow it. The pain inflicted by the narcissist wasn't just about removal, it was about redefining and restoring the victim, revealing their true worth and purpose. The sermon went on to address the promise of justice. Yah's justice is not always immediate, the synthesized Lewis voice intoned, but it is certain. In his time, those who perpetrate narcissistic behavior will face the consequences of their actions. Daniel found a flicker of hope ignited within him. He wasn't alone. He was seen, he was heard, and he was loved. This trial, this agonizing experience, wasn't the end of his story. It was a turning point. He began to journal, meticulously documenting the events of his relationship with Isabella. He saw the patterns, the manipulations, the subtle ways she had chipped away at his self-esteem. He realized that her behavior wasn't a reflection of his worth, but a manifestation of her own deep-seated insecurities. He reconnected with his old friends, apologizing for his absence and seeking their support. He returned to his research, finding a renewed passion for history and a deeper understanding of human nature. He started exercising, eating healthy, and nurturing his physical and emotional well-being. It was a slow and arduous process, but with each step, he felt himself reclaiming his life. He started to see his worth outside of Isabella's distorted perception. He realized that his kindness, his empathy, and his intelligence weren't weaknesses to be exploited but strengths to be celebrated. One day, months later, he received a letter. It was from Isabella. She apologized in her own self-serving way for the pain she had caused. She claimed she had been going through a difficult time and hadn't been herself. She vaguely hinted at wanting to reconnect. Daniel read the letter with a detached curiosity. He felt no anger, no resentment, no longing, only a profound sense of pity. He recognized the manipulative tactics, the subtle guilt-tripping, the desperate attempt to regain control. He carefully folded the letter, placed it in an envelope, and tucked it away in a drawer. He wouldn't respond. He had nothing to say. He had found his victory in healing, in reclaiming his identity, and in recognizing his worth in Yah's eyes. He had stepped into a life of peace and purpose, displaying resilience and bringing healing not only to himself but to others who had suffered similar abuse. Kneeling beside his armchair, the rain still falling outside, Daniel closed his eyes and whispered a prayer of gratitude. "Thank you, Yah, for showing me the truth. Thank you for rescuing me from the darkness. Thank you for using this trial to make me stronger, wiser, and more compassionate." The clock chimed again, signaling the start of a new day. Daniel rose to his feet, a sense of peace settling over him. The storm within had subsided, replaced by a quiet, unwavering faith. The narcissist had tried to destroy him, but Yah had used it to rebuild him, stronger and more resilient than ever before. And as he walked towards the window, he saw the first rays of dawn breaking through the clouds, painting the sky with the promise of a brighter future.